possible to come up with the crap that they put Raphael through. And why do they not like him sometimes?
It now seems increasingly unlikely that this film will ever see the light of day. Reports suggest that Blake Lively is no longer attached to the project, and the actress herself appears to be in full meltdown mode after Hollywood pulled the plug on all her most recent ventures. It's a direct consequence of the explosive reputation she's cultivated over the past 7 months. From courtroom chaos to career self-sabotage, she's spiraling fast, and her legacy, much like Amber Heard's, seems dangerously close to total collapse. On 10th June 2025, Blake's team of overpaid yet underqualified publicists triumphantly announced that she had won her lawsuit, spinning it as if she had just solved world peace. Headlines screamed of a sweeping victory. Gossip blogs tripped over themselves to congratulate her, and for a brief moment, anyone glancing at the news might have assumed she'd cured cancer while walking on water. But within 24 hours, Ryan Reynolds, yes, her husband, shattered the illusion with a single devastating Instagram story. No emojis, no captions, just 11 words that burned through her carefully manufactured PR image. Justice is in a Netflix script. Directors don't cast judges. The internet went into meltdown. And truthfully, if your own spouse won't back your story, it's probably too outrageous to begin with. What Ryan achieved in one Instagram post was something her legal team couldn't undo with 100 press releases. It wasn't just shady. It was cinematic-level betrayal, impressive in both precision and audacity. Digging deeper, it became clear that Blake hadn't simply won her case. She had allegedly manipulated the system like a monopoly board, complete with luxury hotels, dodgy deals, and a get-out-of-jail-free judge whose brother just happened to work in Hollywood. According to court insiders and a recently resigned assistant with more courage than Blake's entire legal team combined, a mysterious $2 million payment was funneled through Graywave Consulting LLC, a company that sounds like something a Bond villain might own, directly to the judge's brother. That money trail, allegedly connected to Blake's PR team, lined up perfectly with several unrecorded visits to the judge's chambers. No appointments, no sign-ins, no records. Between 14 and 22 May, 4 undocumented meetings reportedly took place, each timed suspiciously close to major court developments. It suggested a meticulously orchestrated plan to tilt the scales firmly in her favor. In public, a smiling, victorious Blake Lively celebrated her courtroom triumph. But behind the scenes, whispers of covert payments, secret meetings, and Hollywood-style influence painted a far darker, more calculated picture. One of a star whose rise and fall are now hopelessly intertwined with scandal. Just before Judge Lehman dismissed Justin Baldoni's 2 most serious claims on 23rd May, yes, the very same day in question, Blake's carefully constructed world began to unravel. These weren't trivial technicalities. One allegation claimed Baldoni, the film's co-producer, had been entirely sidelined as Blake allegedly turned the production into her own vanity project. The second, even more damning, accused her of engaging in secret financial arrangements tied to the film through private investment groups, allegedly manipulating casting, budgeting, and creative decisions to serve her own financial interests rather than the integrity of the project. Yet without a full trial, argument, or detailed explanation, the judge dismissed both claims as insufficiently specific, despite Baldoni's legal team submitting emails, contracts, internal memos, and precise timestamps. Suddenly, winning a court case seemed less about presenting evidence and more about having the right friends, the right brother, and apparently the right checkbook. Blake assumed the aftermath would pass quietly, that the internet would applaud and move on. But she hadn't anticipated Ryan Reynolds dropping the PR equivalent of an atomic bomb. At 6:17 a.m., before most people had poured their first coffee, he posted his 11-word story. No ranting, no theatrics, just cold precision that didn't simply puncture the illusion but obliterated it entirely. According to insiders, Blake's reaction was catastrophic. By 8:43 a.m., during an emergency crisis meeting, she reportedly erupted, shouting, accusing Ryan of destroying everything, insisting he didn't understand what was at stake. But what was at stake? Her career? Her producer credit? Whatever it was, it couldn't withstand a single social media post from her husband. By 6:00 p.m. that evening, her PR agency, Fenwick Collective, had officially severed ties, citing a fundamental breakdown in client transparency. Blake had concealed the million-pound money trail, the secret courthouse visits, and the entire web of alleged manipulation. The defense strategy, built on fairness and judicial ethics, lay in tatters, while she seemed to be playing her own real-life version of House of Cards. Within 24 hours, her supposed courtroom victory had transformed into a full-blown scandal, and Hollywood, it seems, has no intention of forgiving her anytime soon. Blake Lively's courtroom victory glow quickly turned into a PR funeral. Her downfall wasn't driven by the press, the internet, or even the lawsuit itself. It was driven by Blake's ego, arrogance, and her unshakable belief that she could bend reality with a smile. No amount of makeup can contour away a hidden money trail, no editing suite can airbrush secret deals, and no Instagram filter can disguise a federal judicial complaint. Blake's obsession with controlling the script, the narrative, the courtroom, and even Justin Baldoni's film unraveled spectacularly. Because Justice isn't a Netflix series, nor is it directed by her. And as for the reviews, even Rotten Tomatoes wouldn't bother scoring this performance. With between 1.2 and 2 million allegedly funneled through shell companies, clandestine meetings in the judge's chambers, and her PR defenses collapsing in real time, the illusion of control that Blake had so meticulously crafted evaporated in less than a day. All that remained was scandal, spectacle, and a brutal reminder that no star is untouchable, and no ego sits above the rules, no matter how carefully they try to script their own reality. Over the course of 4 secret meetings in fewer than 10 days, money allegedly changed hands with the judge's brother, a judge who subsequently dismissed 2 critical claims with a casual wave of his pen. Blake's PR team fled faster than a Hollywood actor from a flop sequel, while Ryan Reynolds briefly dropped his polished persona to expose the entire mess. Blake didn't merely meddle, she hijacked a film. Not metaphorically or symbolically, but quite literally. She boarded a project that had been in development for 5 years and turned it into her own personal Pinterest board of flirty and yummy creative disasters. The film in question was Justin Baldoni's passion project, It Ends With Us, a story centered on domestic violence, trauma, and healing. The kind of sensitive subject matter that should never have been reimagined as a romantic comedy sprinkled with brunch banter. But Blake didn't care. In late 2022, she swooped in, slapped on an executive producer title like a clearance sticker, and began treating the set as her own cinematic diary. Justin had been nurturing the film since 2017, overseeing licensing, development, hiring, and every unglamorous task required to bring the story to life. Then Blake arrived and demanded a full creative overhaul, rewriting scenes to be, in her own words, flirty and yummy. She even reimagined the pivotal rooftop scene and offered to perform it herself to demonstrate her vision. What was meant to be a raw, emotional drama had devolved into a Hallmark-style melodrama starring Blake's delusion. But she didn't stop there. Once she tasted creative power, she launched a full-scale corporate takeover. According to insiders, she relentlessly texted and left voice messages for Justin, the director, and the production company, demanding authority over the script, wardrobe, and marketing. The set soon resembled a multi-million-pound version of a chaotic family group chat. Her A-list entourage, including Ryan Reynolds, was allegedly pulled into private meetings to pressure Justin on tone, advertising, and creative decisions. Those present described it as intimidation disguised as collaboration. When Blake didn't get her way, she reportedly escalated to outright extortion, threatening to withhold promotional support unless she was granted a full producer credit, complete with official PGA certification, a badge of prestige for someone who hadn't actually handled any of the production work. She also demanded that her image dominate the marketing campaigns and allegedly tried to erase Justin's name from key promotional materials. One terrified director even messaged a colleague in May 2023, admitting he was too frightened to challenge her even over a wardrobe choice, for fear she would go ballistic. These power grabs, secret maneuvers, and emotional manipulations weren't isolated incidents. They formed a calculated pattern of control, a systematic effort to seize ownership of a film that was never hers to begin with. And each move left the cast, crew, and even industry veterans stunned as they watched Blake Lively transform a heartfelt, hard-earned project into a personal vanity stage. In the end, she proved one thing. When ego, celebrity, and unchecked influence collide, even the most carefully crafted creative endeavor can spiral into chaos. On set, everyone was forced to tread lightly, because one wrong word, one incorrect sleeve color, or one misplaced prop could trigger another PR grenade from a star whose version of empowerment came with a very specific dress code. Let's call it what it was: textbook emotional blackmail. Blake Lively weaponized her celebrity status, imposed impossible deadlines, and wielded guilt and threats to force through changes that served her vanity rather than the integrity of the film. This wasn't collaboration. It was sabotage in designer heels. And if that seemed like the peak of her chaos, think again, because the smear campaign that followed was even worse. At one point, Blake accused Justin Baldoni of harassment, claiming that during a dance scene he leaned in and dragged his lips down her neck, an unscripted, inappropriate moment, she alleged, that left her deeply uncomfortable. It was the kind of career-ending accusation that could destroy a man's reputation overnight. But Baldoni responded with precision. He released the uncut 17-minute footage of the scene, from call to cut, and it showed nothing improper. Just a professional director, doing his job. The footage completely dismantled her claims, leaving crew members whispering, then openly discussing her vindictive and erratic behavior on set. People were terrified to say or do anything that might trigger her wrath. What began as an attempted character assassination spectacularly backfired, revealing how Blake weaponized false allegations whenever things didn't go her way. She tried to play both victim and villain, as though starring in a psychological Netflix thriller called Gaslight, the executive producer's cut. But the only thing she managed to produce was her own reputation imploding in real time. No one believed her, not the crew, not the public, and certainly not her husband, who had already obliterated her credibility online days earlier. Her smear campaign generated zero sympathy. Instead, it exposed her as manipulative, power-drunk, and frighteningly detached from reality. You can't cry harassment while still clutching the pen from your last script rewrite. You can't rebrand trauma as romance